Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Culture Shock. Now, today we have a very special guest whose life taken him from the boxing ring to the biggest stages in professional wrestling, and ultimately into a powerful career as a motivational speaker. He's an accomplished former professional wrestler who made his mark as my personal favorite in WCW as Johnny B. Bad, and later competed in WWE as the Wild Man and Marvelous Marc Mero. And there he became the Intercontinental Champion. But the story goes far beyond championship and wrestling arenas. Marc has experienced incredible highs, difficult moments, and major life changes and personal transformation, and now he dedicates much of his time to educating and encouraging young people and families to make positive choices. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Culture Shock, Mr. Marc Mero. Thank you, sir, for being a guest today.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. I was looking forward to this.
No problem at all, sir. So I know you're busy, so I will jump right into the questions. Now, before professional wrestling, you were an amateur boxer.
Yes.
What did boxing teach you that later helped you survive and succeed in the world of wrestling?
I think, the main thing about boxing is the discipline that's involved in it, getting up early and long runs and, having amazing cardio, training at the gym, the long hours. There's a real dedication involved to being, to succeed in boxing. And it transcends into everything else in life. You want anything that's worth working for. You got to put in the time, got to put in the grind.
Absolutely. Now, how did you get the first opportunity to enter professional wrestling? And what was going through your mind when you realized that this could actually become a career?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. It was that I've always been a pretty good athlete. I was an all-star in football and hockey before boxing. And after boxing, there was 10 years of my life goes by making bad choices. And I was 30 years old. I had a bunch of friends over my apartment, and one of my buddies was flipping through the TV channels, and he landed on professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. And as I'm looking at that television, I get this overwhelming feeling, some people call it the aha moment. And I just said, hey, guys, I can do that. My buddies busted out laughing. They go, Mark, look at the size of those guys. I think it was like the Road Warriors were on or someone. They said, those guys will pick you up over their head and throw you right out of that ring. I go, no, I'm being serious. I can do that. My other buddy goes, Mark, you're 30 years old. What do you do? Start a pro career now? And man, I said two words that I use every time I do an inspirational presentation. The two words were, I believe. We have no idea the power we give ourselves when we can believe in us. So, obviously it's about the action you take next to fulfill a goal or a dream. Well, at the gym I was working out at, there was a few guys some of the guys that were enhancement wrestlers that you'd see on television getting beat up, Mm-hmm. So I just asked them, well, hey guys, how do you get to, do that? They go, well, you got to go to wrestling school. And so I was living in Venice, Florida at the time. There was a wrestling school in Tampa, Florida. Boris Malenko, who was Joe and Dean Malenko's father, had a wrestling school in Tampa, Florida. So mm-hmm. I'd drive the hour drive after work on weekends, got off all the drugs. And then I drove the 8 hours to get from Venice, Florida to Atlanta to hopefully get picked for one of those guys on television. And lo and behold, they picked me. And next thing you know, I had to wrestle Doom. I think it was one of my first matches was against Doom. Another enhancement guy wrestled Doom, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed. And man, they beat the heck out of us. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I thought this was like fake, this hurts. But anyways, long story short, after the match, Dusty Rhodes approached me and he said, hey kid, anybody ever tell you look like Little Richard? I thought he was talking about a wrestler. So I said, I never heard of Little Richard. He goes, you don't know Little Richard? A womp bamba loo bop womp. I go, oh, singer Little Richard. And he goes, yes. And I go, I never heard that before. He goes, I think I got a gimmick for you. And lo and behold, Johnny B. Bad was born.
Yeah, and that's my personal favorite. I love Johnny B. Bad. I remember seeing you for the first time as Johnny B. Bad at Halloween Havoc at Joe Louis Arena.
Yes. Yeah. And wrestling, I think it was the Honky Tonk Man, wasn't it? That wrestled there? Was correct. Yeah. And Muhammad Ali was there, which I got to meet Muhammad Ali that day, which was like out of all the celebrities I met, and I've met a lot of them over the years, he was definitely my favorite. just an amazing man. But I grew up watching him, and just he was one of my favorites of all time. Watching and then getting to meet him was the highlight of my meeting a celebrity career. They said don't meet your heroes, but he was one hero, man, I was blessed to have met, and he fulfilled everything I thought he would be. He gave me a big hug, told me how much he enjoyed watching me wrestle. Then next thing you know, I'm in the ring wrestling a honky tonk man, and look over, and there's Muhammad Ali sitting ringside watching me. Just an incredible feeling.
Yes, I think I was like 11 or 12. I remember that night so vividly and being there and seeing you come out. And my favorite part of your entrance when you got on the top rope and shocked the cannon.
What's funny about that is that when we do TV tapings, I load that cannon with obviously confetti and streamers and things, but I put real money in there. And so when I shot it out, people would see people, having a $20 bill or a $10 bill on television. Mm-hmm. And then when I would do all the, we would do so many house shows back then, arena shows, and I would put counterfeit money in that had a picture of me, Johnny B. Bad. It says, "In Johnny we trust." So I had so much fun. That was also my favorite character was the character Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, I love Johnny B. Bad. Now, what was it like working with Dusty Rhodes, and what did he teach you about becoming a success in professional wrestling?
That's a great question. And I got to tell you that some of my fondest memories in the business were because the Johnny B. Bad character was his brainchild, so he wanted it just the way he wanted it. And here's this, tough boxer from New York, and I got to act like I'm Southerner from Macon, Georgia. Not only that, being a black guy, so it was a real stretch. But anyways, Dusty Rhodes was able to help me pull it off. But I'll never forget one of the first times Johnny B. Bad was to come out. Dusty Rhodes would work with me before the matches. And he showed me how to walk and talk and say, "Now, see, I'm a bad man." Dusty was one of the most flamboyant wrestlers ever. So here we'd have so much fun. Like we get to the arena early, and he'd walk in. Dude, this is how I want you to walk. This is how I want you to talk. And we would get laughing so hard. Like I'll give you an example. One of the first things he wanted me to say when I walked into the microphone was, "I'm so pretty. I should have been born a little girl," like that. So he wanted me to rehearse that. So I'd go up to the microphone and go, "I'm so pretty, I should have born a little girl." He goes, No, do it like this. He walked up, he goes, "I'm so pretty, I should have born a little girl." I got to tell you, we get laughing so hard. He'd hug me and we would just be laughing. And then I'd finally get the way he wanted it, and just an amazing man. And it wasn't, I wasn't the only one that he poured into. There were so many wrestlers I can tell you it's because of Dusty Rhodes. I have a career, but I think about this, and it really is an amazing aspect of my life is that I never met him. I never would have become an inspirational speaker. I never would have had the platform I had to do what I did for 14 years as a wrestler. Now, this is my 20th year presenting at schools all over the world. And when I say all over the world, I mean, I've been to Russia, Guatemala, the UK. It's just been an incredible journey because of one man who saw something in me that just changed my life.
Yeah, and I love your Dusty impression. That is nailed on perfectly. Now, you eventually moved from the WCW to the WWE. Back then it was the WWF. Looking back, what was the biggest adjustment that you had to make during that transition?
There was a lot of them actually, but the ring is much bigger, and so you're used to when you throw someone off the ropes, you're used to so many steps and then into a move. But the thing that I really had to get used to that were very hard for me was the ropes. WCW had they had steel ropes, and WWE had real rope, which was really loose. And so because of my aerial assault in wrestling, doing different things off the top rope, I had to get used to that spring in the ropes. That was, it was much more difficult than WCW coming off the top rope. And so that was a real adjustment I had to do. But also, the travel in WWE was a lot more too. I think I was on contract for 250 events a year. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was somewhere around there.
Okay, now, you went to WWE and you became the Intercontinental Champion. What does that championship mean to you today, knowing its history?
Well, it means so much. I mean, when you think about that, I was in a tournament and some of the wrestlers that I had to beat, Owen Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ron Simmons. I mean, to win that title was just incredible. But I think more so than ever that title was probably seen on me more than anyone. When I say that, I mean that I've done thousands of schools, and every school I've ever been at, that title is over my shoulder. And you would not believe how many pictures have been taken with that title, because every kid in every school wants to throw it on their shoulder and take a picture with it. So I think I represented it well, but it really did mean a lot and that's why, I have no regrets. People say, well, don't you wish you would have stayed Johnny B. Bad WCW? And, but I have no regrets in life as far as, everything happens for a reason, and all the paths I took in my life led to right where I am now. And I couldn't be more blessed, happier, or more fulfilled to do the things I get to do now.
Yeah. And I see the IC title sitting on your shelf, and I have the exact same white Intercontinental title hanging in my closet.
There you go. Yes. I got the two belts there, the World Television title, the original one, and the original white Intercontinental title are both there. They're the only two. I sold much of my memorabilia recently, and and it's not, people say, well, why'd you sell it? It's not needing the money or anything. It's just becomes stuff. As you get older, you realize that it doesn't mean, like, at one time it meant a lot, and now it just becomes stuff. So, but those are a couple of the items that I probably will never sell and keep, for forever, until someone else wants them someday, but not, some of my family maybe. But they're fun to have still, because I still, do presentations and come out with the belt on my shoulder.
Now, the names you mentioned, Owen Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ron Simmons, you worked during an incredible attitude era of professional wrestling. What are some of the wrestlers you respected the most behind the scenes, and why?
Well, gosh, you're right. I have wrestled everybody: Ric Flair, Undertaker, Sting, Stone Cold, Triple H. The list goes on and on of all the Hall of Famers I have wrestled, But I mean, obviously, wrestling the Undertaker was a lot of fun. And a quick funny story about that was that when you wrestle the Undertaker, you get all warmed up and you work up a sweat backstage, and then you go out to, you always go out first, because the Undertaker's, music and everything comes later. It's the big highlight of the show. So I go out to the ring, I'm in the ring and I'm trying to stay warm because it was freezing in the arena. And then all of a sudden I remember you hear that first bong, bong, and it takes like 10 minutes for him to get to the ring. And I'm freezing cold, from working up that sweat backstage to now being freezing cold in the ring and having to wrestle the Undertaker. Got a kick out of that with him. And he's just a great guy. And oh my gosh, he gave me so much in that match that we had for television. But guys like that, I mean, wrestling, there's three guys I wrestled probably more than anybody. When I say more, I mean, you're talking well over 100 times, and those three guys are Triple H, Diamond Dallas Page, and of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Because see, we're also in WCW together, where me and Steve were wrestling for the US title all over, than the World Television title. So we were constantly, wrestling each other. And then he becomes one of the greatest wrestlers ever. I mean, he was just a pleasure to work with. It was like a night off wrestling with Steve, although you were going to work your butt off. He goes hard, man. And I was always a really good athlete, so I could hang with him. But Triple H, another great ring generalship. Steve Regal, another great person to wrestle. And also one of my favorites is like a night off was Eddie Guerrero, Ric Flair, and another night off. It's like you weren't going to get hurt. It was going to be a great match. Mm-hmm. But Eddie Guerrero was something. He was on another level.
Yeah. When his passing, it really hurt a lot of us and a lot of fans in the industry. There came a point in your life where you began to move completely in a different direction. What made you realize that you need to make a change?
Well, I got heavily into drugs and alcohol and really made some bad choices in my life, and I've been clean since 2003. And that's when I got into inspirational speaking. I wanted to help make a difference in other people's lives. I seen how my life can change, and I wanted to help other people. And through my faith and through prayers and the opportunity to speak at schools all over the world. I mean, it's crazy. When I go to Texas, they bus in 25 schools into an arena where I do anywhere from 7 to 10,000 kids at a time. It's just incredible how it's just exploded, across the country. But this will be my final year. I'm calling it my farewell tour. When I say my final, not that I will continue to speak, but I just don't want to tour anymore. I've been touring since 1991, meaning that through wrestling, 14 years and 20 years of inspirational speaking. And when you tour that much, it's like you live out of a hotel pretty much most of your life. And I really want to be home. I'm married, and I love my family, and really want to spend more time home. So I won't retire. I'll just refire.
Now, speaking of family, you've spoken openly about the importance of parents being involved in their children's lives. Why do you believe that connection is so important, especially in these times?
Well, I really believe we lost the family dynamic. Our smartphone has outsmarted us. And it's really sad because we see so many young parents that just give their kid a tablet to kind of occupy them, and we're not having I remember just recently went out to dinner, and there was a family of 5 next to us, and they weren't even talking to each other. They had earbuds or on their phone, and I just thought to myself, man, we have really lost that family dynamic where I tell parents, man, get back that family time, put all, multimedia presentation, whatever, the phones, the tablets, put them away just for, the 15, 20, half hour, whatever time you take to eat. Just spend time talking. We talk to people we don't even know, but we very seldom even talk to our own families.
Now, when you look back at Marc Mero, the wrestler, compared to Marc Mero, the man today, what is the biggest difference between the two men?
I've always had a heart for people. Even when I was a wrestler, I loved meeting fans. I love, the opportunity to make a difference. But in wrestling, you get to entertain people. But what I do now is I get to change people's lives. And I think that's the legacy I want to live. It's not, how good or bad of a wrestler I was, or how much money I had, or how big my house was. It's the legacy I want is the difference I was able to make in someone else's life. And that's what I really hope will be my legacy.
Yes, sir. And finally, if someone watching or listening to this interview right now and they're struggling and they feel like they have no direction, what would you want them to hear from you today?
We all go through storms in life. Every single one of us. You're not alone, and you matter so much. And after every storm, the sun will eventually shine. And I'm asking you, please don't ever, ever give up. Talk to someone. Don't hold it inside. When we hold things inside, it's like a volcano. And sooner or later, that volcano explodes. And it often explodes in negative behavior, whether it becomes having horrible bouts of depression or anxiety or hurting other people. Please talk to someone. That was what changed my life, was finally opening up and talking about what I felt or what I was going through. So just don't ever give up. You matter, and you're loved more than you realize.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mero. I really appreciate this interview, sir. Can you please let everybody know where they can contact you to have any questions, or your social media pages?
Oh, please go to my social media. Marc is with a C, MarcMero. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me just about anywhere. But if you're interested in me presenting at a school, corporation, or a church, go to my website, which is thinkpause, which is POZ.org, thinkpause.org. And would love to meet you in person.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mero. Anytime you're in Detroit, chili dogs on me.
Thank you so much, man. You do a great job.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate you. And this has been another exciting episode of Culture Shock. We'll see you next week.